friends and fans of the podcast. Wow. Today you are going to go on a weird musical ride, and you're not going to want to get off when it stops. You ever go to an amusement park and you're on this extremely fun roller coaster, and then the roller coaster ends, it comes to a stop, and everyone just lets out that sigh, and then you look to your left and you see the 700 million people waiting to get on, and you know that if you want to get back on, you're gonna go to the end of the line. But then there's those days where you're there, it's off season, you show up right at opening time, maybe the weather's bad, and the roller coaster comes to a stop. You look to your left, and there's 9 people. You can stay on the roller coaster and go again. Well, you're going to want to do that with today's featured artist, Natacha Atlas. Yes, we all need to be sharp and see Natacha Atlas. And she's been around for quite some time. She's changed genres. She's been around since the late 80s, and I only discovered her in the early 2000s. So we just need to be sharp and see what she's done over the years. She is the personification of different. She's anything but mainstream, and her genre is almost impossible to truly define. She was born in Brussels, Belgium, which I had to say 3 times because I just could not say Brussels, Belgium correctly, but I edited out the other 2. She has a very interesting parentage. Her mom was British, her dad was Egyptian. She was raised to appreciate people and music of all sorts, but she was enamored with that Eastern sound, but also the Western sound of pop, reggae, salsa, and hip-hop, and that Egyptian sound of North Africa, which in Arabic is Maghreb, and we white folk would say something like Maghreb. It's Maghrebian or Maghrebian music. I have no idea how to pronounce it. And I went to the internet and I typed it in and said, how do you pronounce this? And could not find anything. I found how to pronounce the one word, Maghreb, but Maghrebian, I literally could not find how to pronounce, so I'm just going to make up my own pronunciation. Maghrebian! Now, she speaks French, English, Spanish, and Arabic, and she sings in all of those languages. In fact, the song Mon Ami la Rose is a poem, but she sang it in a song in French, and it went to number 16 on the French singles charts. Now, she started her public persona like most people, belly dancing. Now, she graduated to singing from what appears to be in the late 80s. I think it was in 1989 she debuted as a guest vocalist in a Spanish song. And she continued to work in Spanish, co-writing songs and guest appearing on songs in Spanish, a language that she actually had to learn because she grew up speaking English and Arabic. She grew up speaking French and English, I think, and she had to learn Spanish and Arabic, something like that. Now, I don't want to go on and chronicle everything that she has done from the very beginning of her career to me sitting in my studio right now making this podcast. Honestly, there's too much. There are a lot of things that she did in her career, and to even begin to start to try to put them all together and then chronicleize them, or chronicalize them for you would just be a lot of work. And I'm pretty damn lazy, so I'm not going to do that. But I think it's important for you to know that her music is extremely eclectic and extremely hard to define. I'll give you an example. Go to YouTube. Yes, I will probably say that every episode, by the way. I will tell you to go to YouTube because most people are not going to just hop in their car and go to the music store. Do me a favor, hop in your car, drive to the nearest record store, and buy this record. No, that's just not going to happen. So just go to YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music, whatever the heck you use, and put this in the search field. Just Like a Dream. That's the song I want you to put in by Natacha Atlas. You can pause the podcast, go listen to the song, and then come back if you want. But when you're done spinning, come back and tell me what genre that is, please, because I sure as heck don't know. If you find one word to describe that music, I will give you all of the money in my wallet, which is nothing, because I use plastic all the time. I mean, is it hip-hop? Eastern hip-hop? Arabic? I mean, is that a genre? Eastern electronica? Who the heck knows? So with Natacha Atlas, it is pretty common also for her songs to feature more than one language at a time. Honestly, it is the epitome of world music. But with electronica, like as its root, maybe we should call the music electro world. Now that sounds kind of goofy. For those of you who need to understand absolutely every lyric that you're listening to in a song, you might want to focus on the songs that she sings, where she sings only in English. And there are some. But it's weird. It's hard to kind of put my finger on, because there are also some other songs where she sings some background music in a weird echoey type of tone, and then the chorus is in English. I don't know how to categorize her music. It's not really one genre. It's not one genre, language, or ethnic group. I don't know. Most of her music, I will be honest, if you were to say to me, okay, Artie, what country best defines her music? It's Egypt. That I can honestly say without being a goof. You can believe me. Her music probably leans mostly towards that Egyptian flair, especially her middle stuff. The earlier stuff, not so much, I guess, but it's tough to tell, because she started off singing in Spanish and then she started doing other stuff. By the early 2000s, it was very, very Arabic and Egyptian, with a touch of English lyrics and hip hop and trip hop and stuff like that. There's a lot of instrumentation, and there's also a lot of use of reverb on her voice when she sings in that Egyptian style. So it's very different. But that's why we need to be sharp and see her music for ourselves, because it's almost impossible. Now I'm beginning to doubt that choosing her for an episode was a good idea. Usually I can sit here and talk about someone pretty confidently. I'm really having a tough time putting, just classifying her music. But let me tell you how I discovered her. That might be an interesting story. It's actually really not, but I was digging myself into a hole, so I had to change the subject. So I used to live in Everett, Massachusetts. I was actually born in Everett, Massachusetts. Excellent place, excellent people, excellent food. One day I was driving around in Everett, Massachusetts, listening to the radio. It was 2004, 2005. I think it was 2005. Actually, it had to be 2005. I think it's when the album came out. It was about 2005. And the radio at that time, believe it or not, still played stuff that wasn't mainstream. They would take chances. They would take side roads at times, right? So there I am driving down the side roads, and the radio DJ took a side road, put on something a little different. He put on Natacha Atlas, and the song was When I Close My Eyes. And she has a guest singer. Hey, shame on me. I didn't write down the name of the guest singer. Well, if the guest singer is listening, whoever you are, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention you by name. We'll just call you guest singer. Now, this song is in Arabic and English, but it's so very much like that Argentine electronica, but with singing that's so obviously Egyptian. And like I said, pinning her down to one genre is impossible. It's like trying to catch raindrops in a thunderstorm. There's too much going on. In a thunderstorm, if you really want to appreciate it, you gotta just back up, watch the storm from a distance and appreciate it that way. Just appreciate the whole thing. That's kind of what you have to do when you listen to Natacha Atlas. You can't just jump into the song and try to pick it apart bit by bit. You almost have to step back at a safe distance and just let her do her thing, and then it's like, wow. And then you can kind of see the magnitude of what's going on. Now, if you listen to the song When I Close My Eyes, you'll notice that when she sings, and again, she sings with a guest vocalist, so she sings some parts, and I believe she sings in Arabic, and then the guest vocalist sings in English. And what's interesting is when she sings, even though it's in Arabic, it doesn't bother me. Because I actually do many times like to understand what's being sung. But her voice is being used like an instrument. It's like a pedal steel guitar in the background. You know, when someone plays a pedal steel guitar in the background, you're not really looking to hear any words. You just like the melody, you like the sound. She literally uses her voice as an instrument, even though she's singing words, but it doesn't seem to bother the listener that she's singing in Arabic. And I've actually asked other people, hey, does it bother you? You don't understand her? And they're like, no. They don't care. They don't really even want to know what she's saying. The voice is just an instrument, and it fits perfectly into what's happening musically. I'm trying to think of other songs. There's a song on the album Something Dangerous, which I actually think is by far her best album. Like, I don't think I would be doing this episode, and I love her music. I love all of it. But I don't think I would be doing this episode if it weren't for the album Something Dangerous. It's just very well produced, mixed, mastered, engineered, written, everything. I could probably do an episode just called B Sharp and C, Something Dangerous by Natacha Atlas. But go to YouTube, type in the song Simple Heart. It's from that album. The song doesn't even need to have verses sung. It's weird. It's definitely an electronica song. It's electronica, trip hop, psychedelica, and it's just as you listen to it, you just realize, oh my goodness, like you imagine like Natacha being used, her beautiful vocals being used as an instrument just so perfectly. But you kind of get you kind of really do get the impression that there was just a lot of work put into the production of this song. Oh, and the song is in English. But again, the lyrics are just far and few between, and they're sung in kind of like a way that the vocals are an instrument. So you're almost not paying attention to the lyrics, even though you understand them. Then there's the song Eye of the Duck on the same album, Something Dangerous, and it's reggae hip-hop with flares of Eastern music, North African music. And then when she goes into the chorus, it's almost like she's saying, go ahead, try to classify me. Try to give me just one genre. She changes things so fast. I've never seen an artist change genres and styles so fast all within one song. And she does it on almost every song. It's not like something that she's like, oh, let's write a song this way. It's literally like that is how she writes her music. Now, I also have to say, and this is the last song from the album, Something Dangerous, that I will mention. She does a version of James Brown's This Is a Man's World. Easily my favorite version of this song. And I know it's insane for me to say because that song has been done by so many people. Oh, including James Brown. It's just so creative. And she starts singing in Arabic at some point, and it doesn't take away from the feel and the emotion of the song. That raw creativity and ingenuity it took to make this rendition of the song is just, I can see it, I can feel it. I know there's a lot of work put into each song that she makes. And I know that her team and the producers that work with her, whatever album she's working on, you know that there's a lot of work going into this. And I just want to say something because I want to be honest to all my listeners. Most of her songs are not in English. And also, most of her songs do have that Egyptian feel. So if you don't like the style, still listen. Okay, I'll give you 3 songs. If you don't like the style, still listen. But I'm going to choose 3 songs that I think might pull you in. And then from that moment forward, then you can decide what songs of hers you might favor more than others. Listen to one of these 3 songs. When I Close My Eyes, Just Like a Dream, or Simple Heart from Natacha Atlas. I believe they are all on the album something dangerous, and just to at least get a taste of what I'm talking about, so you can understand what I mean when I say she is extremely different, and I'm not just exaggerating. But I know people who just don't like that Egyptian sound no matter what, and they're not going to listen to it. Even though they might like it when they hear it in heavy metal, because there is a trace of it in some heavy metal songs. But if you like world music, if you like any bits of electronica, hip-hop, reggae, trip-hop, or just hops in your beer, then give her a shot with an open mind. No, she's not Paul McCartney, or she's not Michael Jackson. Hey, I just noticed the connection, Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. Sorry. Hopefully some of the listeners know what I'm talking about. Anywho, maybe comparing her to like a big pop star is a gigantic, colossal waste of time. Like, you're better off not comparing her to, the pop stars that you're used to. She's not gonna sound like them. She's just not. Oh, and just to add a little bit of spice to the recipe, just to take your already spinning mind and put it back in the blender. In 2019, she decided to completely redefine the already undefinable, and she came out with an album that's like jazz, bossa nova, neoclassical, and everything all together, where she sings in English and Arabic. I listened to it and I was like, what the heck am I listening to? But it's really nice. It's really nice and really creative. And it's interesting because that nice jazzy sound you hear like the upright bass, the jazz piano, that brush percussion, right? And then bam, all of a sudden she starts singing, in Arabic, and she starts singing this Egyptian style, and you're like, what? And then after she's done, there's a trombone solo, or a trumpet solo, or a cello solo, and you're left scratching your head. Honestly, don't go in listening to Natacha Atlas trying to classify her, because I believe if you do that, you'll miss what's going on. It's almost like when you're watching a movie and someone says something and you didn't quite understand what that one person said, so you stop paying attention to try to figure out what that one person said, but you hyper focus so much on one little detail that you're actually missing the rest of the movie. And I believe that when you listen to Natacha Atlas, you have to just soak in what's happening. Even if you don't understand it, go back and listen to it again if you want to try to understand it. It's just something to be appreciated. So you heard it from me. You have the green light. You are allowed to go to YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever, and search for Natacha Atlas and get ready to have your mind blown, baby. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook under the name Be Sharp and See. Follow me off a cliff. I don't care. This is Artie Astor, your host of the podcast. Until next time, keep it groovy, folks.